I'm Dave Renz. One of the questions that I'm hearing discussed more frequently is whether the nonprofit sector has a future, whether nonprofit organizations, and I'm talking primarily about the 501c3s here, even will be relevant, or merely the relics of a bygone era when it comes to building and sustaining communities of tomorrow. I hear some nonprofit leaders dismissing this conversation or laughing at it, but I'm not sure that's wise. You've probably heard some of the aspects of this conversation. Among the themes, well, one increasingly accepted one is the assertion that for-profits are more efficient and better prepared to achieve the social outcomes at a scale commensurate to the needs of our communities. Because this is a business after all, and for-profit businesses are more efficient, we're told, more accountable and focused on results. Or the variation on that theme, that the new forms of for-profit businesses, the low-profit limited liability corporations, the L3Cs, the B Corps, make the earlier limitations on for-profit businesses irrelevant. We now have these new legal forms being created in several states, and some have begun to trumpet this new form as the vehicle of choice for the future of community building. Of course, there's another assertion that the only way for nonprofits to be viable and sustainable for the long run is to create themselves as businesses, social enterprises, that will have earned income to rely upon. Because everyone knows it's just not reasonable for nonprofits to rely on philanthropy and giving. Or another new argument we hear more often is that the line between nonprofit and for-profit just isn't real. Sector differences are contrived and less relevant. Recently, some foundations in the U.S. seem to have endorsed this orientation as they approach their investments from the perspective of sector-agnostic strategies. We're just going to go wherever organizations are likely to best work with us, meet our needs, regardless of sector, they tell us. Well, I can't say that I agree with all of these assertions, but they raise a set of questions and concerns that I think are critical for us to discuss, and to do that in a proactive manner. At the grandest level, of course, a key question is, what is the future of the sector? And by extension, those of us who support it. Perhaps more immediately relevant to us, what are the implications of this discussion for our capacity building and technical assistance work in the coming few years? Another core question, how might we, or should we, be preparing our colleagues in the nonprofit service delivery world to engage this conversation, and to do so in ways that inform and enrich the discussion rather than coming across as merely defensive or reactive? How might we, as capacity builders, encourage or facilitate a more thoughtful, nuanced, and substantive dialogue, one that's oriented toward a productive future? Or should we be engaged in that conversation? Maybe that's not our place? Well, there's no question that the boundaries between the sectors are blurring, and this reality raises critical questions. Are we prepared to engage this conversation? Would it make any difference if we did? Or maybe more importantly, what would it take for us to make that difference? So what do you think? Do you know what you'd say if you were drawn into this debate? We encourage you to join us at the Alliance Conference as we begin to discuss in more depth some of these critical questions and issues about the future of the sector.